Everyone in town knew about the old Whitmore house. It sat at the edge of Hollow Creek, abandoned, its paint peeled away like dead skin. Rumor had it that no one who entered stayed sane afterward. Most people avoided it, but for Natalie, curiosity always won over caution. Natalie was a junior in college, majoring in psychology. She was skeptical of anything paranormal and loved debunking ghost stories. So when her friend Leah dared her to spend one night in Whitmore House, she accepted without hesitation. Her plan was simple: stay the night, film it, and prove there was nothing to fear. She packed lightly, just a flashlight, her phone, a bottle of water, and a notebook to jot down observations. Around 9 p.m., as the sun dipped below the horizon, she reached the house. The place looked even more sinister up close. Shattered windows, warped wooden steps, and a front door barely hanging on its hinges. Natalie pushed the door open, its creak echoing down the dark hallway. Dust particles floated in the air like tiny spirits, disturbed after years of stillness. She clicked on her flashlight and filmed the surroundings. Whitmore House, she whispered into her phone camera, smirking. Home of local legends. Let's see if you've got any real ghosts. The house smelled of rot and mildew. Every step on the creaky floor felt like it might give way. The rooms downstairs were empty, just broken furniture, wallpaper peeling like scabs, and silence. But nothing unusual. It wasn't until she reached the upstairs hallway that she noticed something odd. At the end of the hall was a door, different from the others. It was freshly painted. While the rest of the house had decayed, this door was pristine white, untouched by time. A brass plaque was nailed into it. The engraving read, "The Whispering Room." Natalie felt a chill run down her spine. For a second, she hesitated, but her rational mind pushed her forward. She turned the knob and stepped inside. The room was small and square, with a single chair in the center. No windows, no decorations, just cracked gray walls and the chair. She swept her flashlight across the corners. Nothing. Empty. Harmless. She set up her phone on a pile of old books, recording herself. "All right, I'm inside the infamous Whispering Room," she spoke, voice calm. "And so far, it's underwhelming." She pulled out her notebook, scribbling notes. The house creaked as if settling under her weight, but otherwise, all was still. Then, it began. At first, it was faint, barely noticeable. A soft, hushed murmur, like someone whispering in the next room. Natalie paused, flashlight scanning around. "Probably the wind," she muttered, brushing it off. But the whispering grew louder. It wasn't the wind. It sounded like multiple voices, whispering at once, overlapping, indistinct. Male, female, old, young. It was hard to tell. They were close, circling her. Her rational mind kicked in. Maybe there were openings in the walls. Maybe neighbors. Maybe something explainable. Suddenly, one whisper stood out clearly above the others. Natalie, her blood ran cold. She froze, gripping her flashlight tightly. No one knew she was here, except Leah. The whispers swirled again, building like a hurricane of soft voices, each speaking nonsense, gibberish, some laughing, some crying. Then, clear as day, sit in the chair. Natalie's gaze fell on the lone chair in the middle of the room. Her heart pounded. Every logical thought screamed at her to leave, but her body felt heavy, almost hypnotized. Against her better judgment, she stepped toward the chair and sat down. As soon as she did, the door slammed shut behind her. The flashlight flickered and died. Darkness swallowed her whole. Panic gripped her chest. She fumbled for her phone, but the screen was black. No light, no recording, just darkness and the relentless whispers growing louder, circling her ears. Suddenly, she felt a cold breath against her neck, followed by a voice. "We've been waiting for you." Her body trembled. She shot up from the chair, groping blindly for the door. Her fingers traced the wall, but there was no doorknob, no frame, nothing. She was trapped. The voices turned more frantic, more desperate. "Stay. Don't leave. Join us." Natalie backed into a corner, covering her ears. But the whispers weren't coming from outside. They were inside her head, wrapping around her thoughts like vines. She squeezed her eyes shut and screamed, but no sound escaped her throat. It was as if the room had swallowed her voice, just like it swallowed her light. Then, something grabbed her ankle. She opened her eyes. In the faintest glow, she saw a shadowy hand protruding from the floorboards, cold and skeletal, gripping her tightly. Another hand reached up, then another. They began pulling. Natalie struggled, kicking, but more hands emerged, grasping her legs, her arms, her waist. She realized, with growing horror, that the hands were whispering too. Their mouths moved, but no faces. "One of us." The room spun. Reality felt thin, like paper about to tear. With every ounce of strength, she forced herself to think logically. "This isn't real," she gasped in her mind. "This is a hallucination, sleep deprivation, maybe even gas leaks." But the cold fingers dragging her downward felt very real. Her vision dimmed as she felt herself sinking into the floor. It felt like falling into freezing water, deeper and deeper, the whispers getting louder, chanting her name. And then, silence. Natalie woke up to sunlight streaming through broken windows. She was lying on the dusty wooden floor of the upstairs hallway, the door to the whispering room slightly ajar behind her. Disoriented, she scrambled to her feet. Her phone was dead. She checked the time, 6:43 a.m. Had she passed out? Dreamed it all? She bolted downstairs and out of the house without looking back. It wasn't until she got home, showered, and finally powered her phone that she saw something strange. There was a video file saved, a recording from last night. Confused, she played it. The footage showed her entering the whispering room, sitting in the chair. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the screen began glitching. Flickering shadows moved in the corners. The faint sound of whispers grew louder, more distorted. Suddenly, her own voice came through, but it wasn't what she remembered saying. On the recording, Natalie looked directly into the camera and smiled unnervingly. And then she whispered, "Come back to the room." The video ended abruptly. Natalie stared at the screen, pulse racing. At that moment, she realized her reflection in the phone's black screen didn't quite match her expression. It was smiling, and faintly, in the silence of her bedroom, she could hear it again. "Come back to the room." If you made it to the end, I hope the whispers don't follow you tonight. If you enjoyed this story and want more chilling tales, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I'll see you, or maybe hear you, in the next one.